Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Thursday, February 19th, 2026. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. On Friday, February 13th, the United States military reportedly carried out what it described as a lethal kinetic strike on a vessel several miles off the waters of Bequia. The strike was conducted on a boat allegedly operated by designated terrorists. Today, Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday, during his first appearance on NBC Radio since forming government, said his administration has not received an official report on the incident. However, he noted that the development is concerning, particularly for fishermen who operate in the area.
A reported drone strike on a boat that happened, I think, on last Friday, 13th, and the reports are, again, we have no real official confirmation of this from any source other than that there was a strike, there were casualties, and I've heard from the reports and from a statement made by the Prime Minister of St. Lucia that two St. Lucia nationals died in that incident. We have had our reports from our police, the Commissioner, and we have been in conversation with the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner with respect to this. But again, a lot of the information that we received is not official confirmation, but we know, we can see what has happened, and we've heard of the unofficial reports. And it's a matter that is very concerning to us, obviously, because it's a very worrying situation for persons who operate in these waters. Fishermen, they go out and so forth, and there's always the risk.
The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force has since issued a statement urging calm amid concerns among fishermen, mariners, and members of the general public. Dr. Friday reiterated the need for calm, acknowledging the fear the strike has caused and emphasizing the safety and well-being of citizens remain a priority.
Put out a notice, essentially, cautioning people, but saying that you can't stop doing your business. You go ahead and you do your work, and we will seek to find more concrete information from the sources who would have those answers. I think you might know who they are, to coordinate with U.S. authorities to get more definitive answers as to what transpired and what is likely to be the future with respect to these things. But naturally, we see confirmations to location and all of those things, how it affects our own territorial integrity. But those are matters that we are still investigating, and it's quite troubling, however, to hear of the incidents of that sort that put fear in the hearts of our people traveling up and down in
The Prime Minister assured the nation that as soon as official information becomes available, he will share it with the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to allay further public fears.
And that is something that we seek to address so that our people can continue to do their operations, especially the fisherfolk, to continue to do their trade, to do pursue their livelihoods. So that's as much as we have information, and that when we receive, official confirmation and definitive information from the relevant authorities, we'll certainly make those available, because they are important to bringing some level of comfort, at least some information to our people, so that they can make decisions for themselves as to how they conduct themselves.
On February 16th, the U.S. military stated that 11 people were killed in 3 separate strikes, including the incident in Caribbean waters. The 3 individuals killed in the strike in Bequia have since been identified as fishermen from St. Lucia. Meanwhile, in a statement this afternoon, Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, Sinclair Leacock, has acknowledged the lack of information or public comment from the government, including himself in his capacity as National Security Minister, regarding the reported boat strikes by the U.S. military in Caribbean waters. Minister Leacock said the government is disappointed by the limited information provided by the United States, but emphasized that officials are exercising caution as they assess the situation. He explained that the government is seeking clarification through the appropriate diplomatic and security channels and is committed to ensuring the safety and interests of Vincentians remain a priority.
Vincentians who are concerned that we maintain a level of cordiality and respect for a relationship of what they call the big brother in the north, the United States of America. That we should get information, we certainly feel so entitled. That we didn't get that information as yet, we are of course disappointed. But we are a government that understands the dynamics of international relationships and foreign relationships. We are in no position to flex any kind of muscle. But at the same time, we do not make ourselves a soft target to be taken for granted or disrespected. So we still await that opportunity by the United States government to give us further reportage on the zone strike in our economic zone.
The Minister of National Security also praised the SVG Coast Guard and the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force for acting swiftly in response to the matter. He noted that Vincentians are not excluded from involvement in drug trafficking operations, which continue to have serious social and economic costs for the country.
Where an incident not of our making produces what I call collateral damage. Something that happened in the waters is now acting out on land. And we're not speaking about small quantities of drugs. In fact, I think the face market value is somewhere over $500 million, close to $500 million. And there are Vincentians who have been arrested in the course of that exercise. I must dare say, even my own constituency. But more of greater concern is the fact that we do not know what is the extent of our exposure. What we do know is that anytime cocaine washes up or appears on the shores of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there are consequences for escalation in the crime and violence in our blessed land.
Minister Leacock further noted that the Prime Minister of St. Lucia has reached out to Dr. Friday on the issue and that the governments of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has since engaged the Regional Security Systems, the RSS.
Well, certainly, lives lost are Lucian, but we are one economic and political zone for all intents and purposes. In fact, up to yesterday, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia was hoping for additional information from our Prime Minister, who was not in a position to give him those sets of information that he was seeking. Excuse me. And as far as I'm concerned, since Lucia is still awaiting that set of information, we, out of an abundance of caution, have gone beyond our own borders and have tapped into our regional association to the regional security system. And I must say to you that we have not been able to get much help from that quarter, since they too have not had any reports from the U.S. That is of consequence to the conversation that we would have as a government. But I still leave the doors open and ears cocked for that information as it comes to hand. Now, let me be very emphatic on behalf of the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
The matter is expected to be raised at the upcoming CARICOM Heads of Government meeting next week in St. Kitts. Opposition leader Dr. Ralph Gonsalves yesterday responded on radio to concerns about the safety of local fishermen at sea following the recent U.S. strike. Dr. Gonsalves agreed that the concerns are legitimate and warned that the situation could have a direct economic impact. A caller predicted that fish prices at local markets could skyrocket if supply is disrupted, as fishermen may be reduced or suspend operations because of safety fears.
Must get some statements from the governments here. If the government doesn't, if we haven't received any information from the Americans, they have to say we have asked the Americans for information and we have received none. We have asked the regional security system to inquire of the Americans too, and they have sent none. Or if they say we have inquired and they have said A, B, C, D, tell us what they have said. And if there is any matter which is of high national security which you cannot reveal for some purpose or the other, you indicate that too. So that we will have understanding as to what is taking place. But one thing is clear. You can't go and conflate what is a law enforcement exercise with the execution of a foreign policy based on ideological terms.
Dr. Gonsalves described the reported actions as un-American and contrary to principles of international law. He argued that individuals are entitled to due process, including the presumption of innocence and procedural fairness, rather than what he characterized as the execution of foreign policy are on ideological grounds.
Drug trafficking in America and in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and the Caribbean is not an offense punishable by death. So that's the first thing. And in any event, individuals are entitled to a presumption of innocence. And they're entitled also to certain procedural fairness, that you must be apprehended, taken to court before an impartial tribunal, and the evidence heard and guilt determined and punishment given accordingly. But you can't just go and kill people. There's not a declaration of war.
The opposition leader called for dialogue and adherence to international legal standards, urging regional authorities to monitor the situation closely and take steps to safeguard the interests and security of local fishermen. Minister of Tourism and Member of Parliament for North Leeward, Dr. Kishore Shallow, held his second constituency consultation meeting last evening. Dr. Shallow emphasized the importance of the consultations, describing them as critical to informing the government's policy direction and decision-making process. He said engaging residents directly allows their concerns and suggestions to shape development plans for the constituency.
Get on with things, but we know that to fix St. Vincent and the Grenadines and to advance it to its true potential, we have to take our time. And so, as part of that process, very important process of change and improvement, is these consultations. I would have spent a long time in each of the villages throughout North Leeward, going to some homes, meeting people on the block, meeting people in different places. But those were informal conversations. What we're saying is that we want all our projects, especially major projects going forward, to be with an approach of an inclusive one, meaning that we come and consult with you. We don't want to just come and impose and say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, without knowing that this is actually what you want.
The minister noted that several projects are planned for North Leeward. However, he explained that careful analysis must first be undertaken to determine which initiatives should take priority based on available resources and the needs of the community.
Realize that something is actually important, but by having these conversations, then we'll be able to inform each other as to why we are doing these projects, why we are prioritizing Chumkabatombe as opposed to Cumberland in the first 6 months, why we are prioritizing Darkview Falls in the first year as opposed to, a Peterbidal or Rosebank, right? Why we are prioritizing Hermitage Road instead of a different road in North Leeward. So we all have to have these conversations so we could understand why the decisions that are being made and going to be made by this government is why we are doing them in the priority that we have identified. So I want you to take this exchange this evening as very important to informing government policy and government decision. Dr. Friday, our esteemed Prime Minister, he said it throughout the campaign that this is about putting people first.
Residents, he said, have expressed a desire to see a number of projects implemented, including some initiated under the previous administration. Dr. Shallow stated that certain projects will continue, particularly where taxpayers' money has already been invested in startup phases. Others, however, may have to be discontinued following review and assessment.
It's the resources that we have already invested in. When I say we, the government, not just ULP administration, is taxpayers' money. Each and every one of us would have invested in that. So we have to try and optimize what is there. The other program that you said the previous gentleman set up, I don't know about that. I don't plan to continue many things that he started, quite frankly, unless, you know, it is really merited. But it's something we can look into. One thing for certain, we need to ensure that the traditional approach of focusing strictly on education, academics, is one that we don't necessarily align with. We believe in skills training and giving people, as we can't paint everyone with the same brush, very simply put.
Dr. Shallow also stressed that the time has come to put political divisions aside and allow the people of North Leeward to move forward in unity, benefiting collectively from all properly executed development projects. Minister of Education, Vocational Training, Innovation, Digital Transformation and Information, Philip Jackson, has proposed the national delivery of specialized subjects by expert teachers as the Ministry of Education accelerates its digital transformation agenda. Speaking at the National Center for Technological Innovation NCTI conference yesterday, Minister Jackson suggested the introduction of a master teacher, a model under the proposal. Specialized educators would teach certain subjects nationwide, leveraging technology to reach students across multiple schools.
Teaches a subject in chemistry, a topic in chemistry to everybody at the same time. We have the technology. We have used it during COVID, so we have the technology. So master teaching is a great opportunity for us to maximize our already slender resources. And this is a great opportunity to build the associations of science teachers so that they can agree on themselves. I would handle this part of this syllabus, you handle this part, and that increase the competence and ability to deliver. So master teaching.
Minister Jackson challenged teachers to become more innovative in their classrooms by embracing technology. He urged educators to encourage young people not only to develop IT skills, but also to execute and complete projects they create. He also called on schools to form IT associations to further strengthen collaboration, innovation, and student engagement in technology-driven initiatives.
Don't be afraid to give some time. For those of you in the primary school, the first 4 years, let's focus on foundational issues, right? Numeracy and literacy, and problem solving and creativity. The note subjects will come. When you can read and write well the note subject, you can do that easier. But if you can't read and write the note subject, it means nothing to you. So I'm giving permission, as I've already given. I'm giving you space to experiment for innovation in the lower primary school and also in lower secondary school. Create some space in the curriculum. A robotics club or a science club doesn't have to happen after 3 o'clock. You could put some space in the curriculum to make that happen. Run with that. If anything goes really, really, really wrong, then blame me. I would go to the people and I would take responsibility. But I'm saying up front, let's give ourselves space to be innovative and creative. That is how we're going to create this sort of transformation that's going to happen.
Senior Education Officer Aldia Gomes-Dyer said St. Vincent and the Grenadines has made significant strides in integrating information technology into schools and other educational institutions. However, she noted that there is still work to be done to further advance digital skills and to ensure that no child is left behind.
To have students, as they learn the coding, it is just not for examination purposes, but how can they use their coding and apply it to help to create solutions right in the classrooms. Every day we struggle with literacy in our classroom, mathematics. Can we use the technology that is available to support us? We heard the minister spoke of master teachers. As we speak, we are also devising a plan where we can get this going so that we can serve more persons.
Minister of Fisheries and Member of Parliament for Central Leeward, Conroy Huggins, has commenced a series of community consultations within his constituency. The meetings began on Monday at the Bookman Bay Secondary School and continued on Tuesday at the Leeward Government School. Minister Huggins thanked the people of Central Leeward for the confidence they placed in him by electing him as their new Member of Parliament in the November 27, 2025 general elections. Speaking at the Leo meeting, Minister Huggins acknowledged that his victory was not an easy one, but said he was pleased to have emerged successful in the end. He noted that the constituency had been held by the Unity Labour Party for more than 30 years, and many had assumed that a win for him would have been impossible. Making it clear that the consultations are not political in nature, Minister Huggins said he is committed to serving all the people of Central Leeward, regardless of political affiliation.
To you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Whether or not you voted for me or you didn't, it doesn't matter. Today is governance, right? Today is governance. And I want to make that point very clear from the onset, right? This is not a party function, it is a community function. And I want that to be clear. It is a community function. It is specific to Leo, right? Yesterday, as Chairman said, we met in Bucament. We had a great time, we had an excellent turnout, and we had great participation, right? And it shows that the constituency and the communities, are engaged. People want to see better for the community, and people want to contribute. And we got a lot of that from Bucament yesterday. We got, diverse views, but concerns were shared. A few questions, but generally the concerns that people have in Bucament, they share them. Now in Leyu, we want the same to happen here. This is about our constituency. It's about our community. It is about your community. You are the ones who are living in Leyu. And we cannot depend and wait for foreigners to come and keep Leyu clean. We cannot wait and people to come in from anywhere outside to tell us what we need to do right in Leyu. I am of the view that we have sufficient grey matter, meaning brain, among ourselves, that if we are able to function collectively as a people, as a community, we will be able to go further, we will be able to do more, and we will be able to find solutions to the problems in Leyu.
Minister Huggins also stressed that he is not one to dwell on the past. Instead, he encouraged residents to focus during the consultations on the current situation in the constituency and to outline their vision for the future.
We could learn from the lessons of the past. So we don't want too much complaining about what this do, what this doesn't do, and whatever. I know there might be some feelings here and there, but what we want to focus on is the way we go forward, right? Yes. How we find collective solutions for the community of Leyu. We are a sporting community. We are a community with the culture and the creative arts, right? We are a community with intellect and intellectuals, right? We are a rounded community, right? Leyu has produced several parliamentary representatives, right? From Sir Herbs, those who came before us. Walker was in the trenches for quite a while. Daft James, Sir Louis, Hall, Woodsy, Harman Young, they're my good friend, and recently our brother Orlando Brewster. So Leyu has produced, right? Leyu has produced. And today what we want to do is to take Leyu forward, right? And the theme for our consultation is building together. I want to repeat that. It is building together. I do not have all the answers. And no one of us, no individual person, no single individual will have all the answers. Right? We'll have different perspectives, but when we share them, we could find common solutions. And we could find better solutions. Right? You know the problems that you have, you know the concerns that you have. We want to document them so that we could take them forward.
The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, the SVG-PF, is reminding all public transportation operators and commuters that passengers must be picked up and dropped off only at bus stops designated by the licensing authority. In a press release issued today, police said they will be enforcing the provisions across the country with immediate effect. The statement noted that pursuant to the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, CAP 483, where bus stops have been appointed along a route, motor omnibuses are required to stop only at those designated locations for the purpose of picking up and setting down passengers. Stopping elsewhere for that purpose constitutes a breach of the law. Operators are therefore not permitted to pick up or drop off passengers at any location that is not an officially designated bus stop. In particular, the parking lot in the vicinity of Massey Stores and Russell's Cinema in Stony Grounds is not a designated bus stop and must not be used for the loading or offloading of passengers. Police have advised that enforcement activity will be conducted in this area. Commuters are also being encouraged to utilize designated bus stops only.